Hi there everybody, quick lesson on area of triangles. Alright, so this is needed, this is important. Whilst it's relatively straightforward, it's often, strangely enough, something that some students make mistakes on. Alright, so let's not let that happen. Alright, so area of a triangle is half times base times height. And the reason I stress half is because that is the bit that is unfortunately missed. All right, it's not a rectangle, it's not base times height, it's a half times base times height. So just be very, very clear on that. It's not a rectangle, it's a triangle, so you need to half it. Okay, so here's an example. Find the area of the triangle shown. So it's going to be base times height, so 4 times 5, and then you half it. All right, important thing to remember is when we're talking about the height, this is the perpendicular height, so the height that goes basically vertically upwards, and it's not the slope. All right, so if you are given the slope, it would be either something an awful lot more complicated that it might involve using Pythagoras or trigonometry, but essentially in this case, we're going to stick with the idea of being given the perpendicular height. All right, so 5 times 4 and half it, so it's going to be 10 centimeters squared. All right, here, same kind of process. Well, this is a right angle triangle, so we're going to do 11 times 4 and then half it, which is going to give us 22 meters squared. All right, to keep your eye on the units. Again, it's mentioned a couple of times in previous lessons that we've done about watching those units and making sure you know what you're working out. So we are working out area, so the units are absolutely critical. All right, and also just make sure that they are the same. Okay, so these are both centimeters and these are both meters, so we're okay. All right, they might throw a curveball in there and try and put one of centimeters, one of the meters to see if you're paying attention. All right, so I hope you're listening to me, because obviously that could matter. Right, so at the bottom there, look, don't forget about the half. That's how often it comes up. So missing sides. So the idea of this, we're working backwards now. So the formula is still half times base times height. So here we've got a kind of a solution, question. So you've got the answer as 15 centimeters squared, but I want you to figure out what the length of A is, the bit that's missing. All right, so I'm going to work backwards. So what I would have done, if I was working out the calculation, it would be that times that and half it. All right, so I'll say again, that times that and half it. So if I am working backwards, then I need to write down what I would kind of done. So I would be that times that times that. Sorry, that times that and half it equals that. All right, so I've written it down as the formula is given, which sometimes it works really, really well if you're trying to work out an unknown. So you put area of a triangle equals half times base times height. And then you look to rearrange it. All right, so this is where rearrangements kind of skills come into place. So what's the opposite of times a half? Which would be divide by a half or times 2. All right, so double it. So 15 times 2 divided by 5. All right, so 15 times 2 divided by 5 is going to give you 6. And at this point, then it's probably worth just making sure, because I think sometimes this divide by half a bit confuses people, because you notice I times it by 2. I think that confuses people sometimes, and obviously by getting that wrong way around, either doubling or halving it, potentially goes in the wrong direction. So just double check your answer. Is 5 times 6 and half it 15? Well, 5 times 6 is 30 and half it is 15. So yes, so that's good. Right, so same process over here. So you've got 13.5. So what you're probably going to do is you're going to double it, like I did last time, 27, and then divide by 9. All right, which is going to give you 3. All right, so here's the kind of formula, and then you're writing it all out like that. All right, so you'll notice I said it slightly differently. Because I halved it, good way to start with a triangle is you take your 13.5 and double it, and that'll give you 27, and that's going to give you what these two were, that times that. So 27 divided by 9 will give you that one. All right, essentially there. So 13.5 doubled, and then divided by 9. All right, so that's area of a triangle in essence. If you need the practice or want to kind of consolidate it, please visit maths-school.co.uk, and that's it. Thanks for listening.